welcome to my channel. I would like to invite you to get ready with me while I tell you what my reaction was to the Love is Blind finale on Netflix. So if you want to watch me put on makeup while I talk about the I do's and the I don'ts, stick around. So as you can see, I've already filled in my brows. If anyone's interested, I'm slumming it right now with the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim Pencil. I'm waiting for my Hourglass brow pencil to come in because I really don't find any drugstore brow pencils that I love as much as I do Hourglass and Anastasia Beverly Hills, but this is what I'm working with for right now. So I'm going to be starting off with foundation. I am using the Hourglass Seamless Finish Liquid Foundation. My color is Warm Almond, and I'm going to be using a sponge. I haven't done a sponge in a long time, and I just feel like it. And I'm going to be using the Dose of Colors sponge. I forget what it's called, but it's like I've been using it for a long time because I love it, and I need like 15 of them. So let's start with wedding dresses. My least favorite wedding dresses. Let's start with Kelly. Her wedding dress was fine, but it wasn't like wow. And I just really wanted for them to pull her hair up, like in a bun or like something upswept. And I don't know why. This might sound weird. The fact that they let her hair stay down made me feel like something was up. Like, it's weird. With Kenny and Kelly, you don't get the sense, or at least I didn't get the sense, that there's anything wrong. I thought that they were on board, that they were both on the same page. I didn't get any sense of doubt from either one of them. I mean, until these last few episodes where Kelly starts talking about how normally, like, she would never have gone for Kenny, that he's not her type, that she normally is attracted to brunettes. And I'm over here just like, I thought this was about love being blind, and you're talking about the most superficial things right now. So I was really shocked by that. And yes, I do have foundation in my hair. I'll fix that later. So yeah, I was taken aback by that, particularly at the very last minute, you know, when they're like getting ready and getting dressed and having their makeup done. So even though she was expressing apprehension, I still thought she would go through with it because, as I told a friend of mine who was watching it also, I was just like, people get married all the time who shouldn't get married. Like, what's stopping them? Like, I figured they would just do it anyway and, you know, see what happens. So you could probably guess that, yeah, Kelly said, I don't. She and Kenny were the first couple, I believe, to get married on the show, or to attempt to get married. And, it was devastating. It was really devastating. I felt so bad for Kenny. And he was like in this, you know, holding room for like the groom, where I guess they hang out until they're called out to get married. And after that, he was just like, I don't want this on camera. Tell the cameras to get out of the room. Stop filming this. Like, he was legitimately humiliated. And I was in shock. I really, really thought that most everyone was gonna say I do. I really did. I was just like, so what if there are a couple of these people who should absolutely not get married? I just figured they would do it anyway. I really, really did. So that just sucked all of the air out of the room as I was watching it with my husband. It was a lot. It was a lot. And then I think the second couple was Giannina and Damien. I could be wrong on that, but they were the second or third. I really feel like they kind of did it in order of the people who didn't and then the people who did. I'm not sure how it actually happened in real life, but this is how they like aired it on Netflix. So again, I thought, well, Giannina clearly displayed signs of instability. While that instability, I think, is just a reflection of her age and immaturity. I absolutely understood it being a concern for Damien, who seems like a pretty serious and stable guy, and it's just like, I love you, babe, but I don't know if I can commit my whole life to this. A few days before they get married, Giannina expresses that she's lost the butterflies in her stomach, and she's scared that she won't ever get them back. Now, the sarcastic tone in my voice comes from age and experience. So if you're looking at this and you're in your 20s and you're just like, what? Like, that seems legitimate. And I would have said the same thing in my 20s, but I'm not in my 20s anymore. And I've been married for years to someone I've been with for over 13 years. And hearing somebody talk about being scared that the butterflies aren't going to coming back a few days before they get married, I'm like, butterflies aren't shit. Butterflies don't keep shit together. Now, I get it. It's a very American thing. We want to feel like we're swept off of our feet. And of course, we want to feel like the romance is there. But this is a special situation where I totally understand that you don't have time to kind of figure all of those things out before you're jumping into a lifetime of commitment with someone that you've known for a little over a month. And I can't even imagine what that must be like. But the fact that she did that, that she expressed that a few days before they got married, and then Damien went out of his way to take her on this helicopter ride, and she's all excited, and she's just like, oh my God, I love you. The butterflies are back, babe. And I was just like, it was interesting watching Damien do this and kind of study her, because I think that that's what he was really doing. Like, he wanted her to feel the butterflies, but he was also checking himself to see, is this the kind of person I want to spend the rest of my life with? Is this the right decision for us? I can't be taking you out on helicopter rides every time you feel like the butterflies are disappearing. You know, it's kind of expensive and a little bit impractical. I absolutely understood Damien saying I don't at the altar, but I was still devastated for Giannina. I was devastated for her, because you saw her getting dressed. Her dress is so beautiful, by the way. Like, hers was one of my favorites. I feel like it suited her really well. She knows what suits her. It was classy, but it was also modern and fairy tale like. And it was just, you know, the girly girl in me was just like, you've got this beautiful dress. You look so good. Like, come on, let's just do it. Let's just make it happen. But Damien was right. He made the tough decision. And I could tell by looking at him that it was a tough decision to make. It was rough. So I'm going to use this new concealer that just arrived today by Mercier. I purchased it because Asia Jackson, she just did a video where she imagined what makeup she would buy if she only had, I think it was $200. If she only had a $200 limit. And she mentioned that this concealer does not crease. And I was just like, bet, let me get this. So I got the color 4N. I tested it out in Sephora. I asked for some assistance, and this was the one. So, and I think this is the one. But this is literally my first time using this, so let's do it. So yeah, Damien made the really hard decision. Giannina ran out crying. The cameras follow her into, like, I don't know, the highway, the woods, like that ditch somewhere. She like falls, she takes off her shoes. It was hard for me. There were times when I had to be like, babe, we need a minute. Like, we just need to pause this, because that's the first 2 weddings. It's just like fail. I started to get a little scared that there was not going to be a couple that gets married. I think after that came Jessica and Mark. And so after the first 2 couples didn't make it, when Jessica and Mark rolled up, I was like praying for her to say I don't, just to release him, you know, because I knew that if she said yes and he was going to say yes, and they were going to be miserable. It was not going to be good. So her dress was not good. You know, when they were trying on all the dresses, you got this sense from everyone. But now when I look back on it, I realized that Kelly wasn't really super excited about her dress, but Jessica was the worst because I think she was drunk and she just came out in some ugly dress that was like too big for her, looking very much like she did not want to get married. But she was flip-flopping all throughout the show, and it was terrible. So at that point, I was like, please say no. Please do not say yes to this man. And she did it. She said no, and I was so glad that she said I don't. But I was also mad because I was just like, this feels so, like, why did you get all the way here? You could have released him way before this, and I forget whether it might have been my husband or somebody else, but basically they were just like, she was just hanging on to see if she had a chance with Barnett. That's the only reason. She wanted to see if Barnett and Amber were going to make it. And that's why she got to this point with Mark, and she knew the whole time that she was never going to marry him. And I just thought that was tragic and fucked up and sad. But it was just like, okay, at least Mark gets to hopefully maybe find somebody that actually really cares about him. And so those were the I don'ts. I believe, I don't know which one came first now, whether it was Amber and Barnett or Lauren and Cameron. I want to say that Lauren and Cameron were last because, you know, they're Lauren and Cameron and like they saved the best for last. But either way, I'm going to talk about Barnett and Amber first. So there was a lot of anxiety for Amber over whether Barnett was actually going to show up. At some point, she was trying to contact him on the day of their wedding, and he was not responding. And I was just like, oh God, please do not let this man disappear. Please let him have a spine and just say, I don't, at the altar like everybody else. So he does make it. He does make it to the altar. And there is, you know, some pausing and, you know, some suspense. But they both say I do. And they get married. And personally, like I said, I always felt like they were well suited to each other. I also really loved Amber's dress. I felt like the one she tried on originally, the first one, there was a little bit too much boobage. And the one she went with was just more classy. And I mean, she's shaped like, a champagne flute. She just looked perfect. And yeah, hers was definitely one of my favorite dresses. I thought it was beautiful. I think her and Barnett make a beautiful couple. And I'll just say right now, in interviews with them later on, I forget which one, but they talk about having to like learn each other, obviously, because again, they've known each other for such a short time. And I feel like they seem to be mature about getting help around learning each other, because I think that that's the thing, even in marriages with people who've been together for a long time, that people don't talk about. It's not just like, oh, we're attracted to each other, oh, we love each other. Like, all of that stuff is wonderful, and love may be blind, but marriage, that's a whole other bag of stuff. It's not about whether or not you love this person warts and all. It's about how sustainable is it, knowing what you know about each other, like everything. So I was happy that they got married. I thought it was a good match. I was also, like I said, I was also even more impressed that they decided to get counseling and that they, you know, committed to really being together despite the odds, because they could have easily like gone the other way. I'm gonna set my concealer now, even though it's a non-creasing concealer, with this setting powder by Bakerie, which I've done a review of, which I love and I need to replace. I have it in Plantain. It is sold out right now, but I'm just gonna wait because this is the only setting powder that I love. And I'm gonna use my Fenty Beauty 170 setting brush. So yeah. Ooh, that's a lot. That's quite a bit. So yeah, Lauren and Cameron. So this was another shocker for me. I was like a little taken aback that Lauren started doing this like, hey babe, I don't know what I'm gonna say when we get to the altar. This couple was the couple most likely to succeed. Near the end, Lauren was really giving the I don't know if I'm gonna say yes vibes. And that kind of freaked me out because Cameron was so calm the whole time. He was just like, I have no doubts about wanting to marry you. Yes, I'm nervous, but I'm not nervous about wanting to marry you. Babe, it'd be really nice to know what you're gonna say at the altar. And I was just like, oh, can we just give him some reassurance? On the other hand, as a woman, I know what Lauren was going through. She's getting everything that she says she wants and she's freaked out about it. It's so perfect. It's like scary. And as she said, she's a self-acclaimed hermit. She's been alone for so long that it is a huge transition for her. Even if it is Prince Charming and the man of her dreams and he's, you know, the first man who's ever allowed himself to be vulnerable and show his feelings this way to her. She's still freaked out about it. And I totally get that. I also absolutely get the self-sabotaging aspect of what women do, what Giannina does, what Lauren does. And even, I hate to say it, Jessica, except that she's so unbelievable because we know she doesn't even like Mark. Giannina loves Damien. She absolutely was going to say yes, even though she crazy. And I'm glad Damien was just like, no, girl, we ain't ready. But this is what we do. We tell you what we want. You give us what we want. And we're just like, something gonna go wrong. Something is wrong with this. So I get it. It was just hard to watch. It was just hard to watch. I have to just say as a side note, I am not someone who has always been super pro interracial relationships. In fact, I'm not saying that every Black woman who marries a white guy is self-hating. I'm not saying that, but a lot are and don't even know it. I don't believe that that is the case here, especially since Cameron's the first white guy Lauren has ever dated. And she's not the first Black woman he's ever dated. I do believe that interracial relationships can work. I have dated white men and have loved them, and it not having anything to do with race, but we can't really say for sure what doesn't have to do with race when you're Black, because whiteness is just so pervasive in that way that often we don't see it because it's internalized mostly in the worst, most damaging ways. So I think it takes a really strong person, a person who is really knows who they are as a Black person. White people, it doesn't really matter. They don't have to like worry about whether or not they really like this Black person for themselves or not, because you're white in the world. You kind of get to do whatever you want and dip your toe in whatever waters you want without any consequence. A Black person with a white person has to deal with 150 times more shit than the white person. Trust me. There have been YouTube influencers, Black women who I follow because I only follow Black women on YouTube, who I discover like later on, like they're all married to white guys. And I've been like, right? Like I have. And this is not one of those cases to me. I also feel that Lauren, as a content creator, is just always ready for camera. Like she presents very authentically, but she's clearly the person who's used to being in front of a camera. I'm gonna contour with my Juvia's Place foundation stick in Namibia. Yeah, Lauren's always perfectly put together. And I mean, I approve of most everything she wears. Her hair is on point. Her makeup, like she's that person who, she just knows how to show up. And I think she's beautiful. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm gonna contour with a deeper shade. I'm gonna go back to my deep dark 197 foundation stick from Colourpop. That's this baby. So I don't worry about Lauren in front of the camera. I don't worry about her getting her appearance off or wrong or tacky. Like, I just love her aesthetic taste. I wish I had more of a deeper sense of her as a person, but I think that what it is she's so kind of like out there, that like her personality is out there. And Cameron is just so kind of like insulated and a little more reserved than she is. And I think they kind of like complement each other in that way. And I'm basically just grossly in love with that couple. Like, I've been watching them in like interviews on YouTube, like in their guest spots on Sway in the Morning. In fact, I already knew that they were going to make it. Like, I couldn't have watched it if I didn't know that they were going to make it. I would have had like palpitations. I wouldn't have been able to handle it. So I already knew that they were going to get married. I already knew that they said I do before I watched it. I need reassurances, okay? Shit. I need reassurances. So, Lauren's dress was my favorite. I mean, they just did everything right. It was so pretty. It was classy. It was fresh. I loved it. I don't know what else to say. I was kind of annoyed that like they had all of this like suspense and they were like, you know, editing it and making it seem like she took such a long time. And I know that like she did pause and everything and she did take a minute, but it kind of kills me every single time I watch it. And I've only watched it like a couple of times. And not on Netflix, like on YouTube. Whenever they like interview them, they'll like show the clip again. Yeah, it was giving me a heart attack. But I kind of knew, you know, of course I already knew, but it was nice kind of like watching their faces, watching their facial expressions and like seeing Cameron look at her and seeing her look at him. I love weddings. I love weddings. So it was really beautiful. I thought she looked beautiful. I mean, she's looked beautiful from the beginning. She's never not looked amazing. And it was the perfect ending. It was really wonderful to have seen them get together and to feel like they really made like this real connection. And just, I've been watching them on YouTube, like I said, in talk shows and like different spots. They have wonderful chemistry. And they're talking about having kids and they're talking about having a spinoff. Now that I've talked about the weddings, it's time to talk about the finale, which I've only watched once. I'm just gonna tell you about the things that really stood out to me. There's only two. And you can probably guess what they are. It is Amber confronting Jessica on her bullshit because she had it coming and it was well-deserved. So that's a very satisfying moment, I have to say. You know, I was waiting for it. Watching them watch the bullshit, watching Jessica watch footage of her bullshit, watching Amber watching Jessica's bullshit. Quite satisfying, because there was just no way around it. It was just like, what can you possibly say for yourself? I mean, she admits that she had problems and it wasn't her best and all of this, but I don't trust her and I don't believe her contriteness. I think it was fucked up the way she made it seem to Amber like she was done with her feelings with Barnett, and it was just, she was a liar. She was just lying. Let's see, where am I at? I usually will dust off any excess powder, but I don't really see a whole lot of powder. So I'm just gonna do it anyway. The other part, Diamond and Carlton. Talk about awkward. So for my eyes, I'm going to use this Laura Mercier Caviar Stick Eye Color Crayon. This also arrived just today. I remember seeing this in Sephora and just feeling like I really liked the way these looked, and also thought it would be a nice sort of alternative to like building up eye color looks with an entire palette, you know, just having something that you can just swipe across the eye and maybe pat out a little bit with my finger. So I'm gonna try that next. So I got it in the color Magenta. It's this really cool kind of like pinky color. So Carlton and Diamond. Watching Carlton watch the footage, watching Diamond watch the footage of him flipping out on her at the pool after he tells her about dating both genders in the past. I really got that he could see that he was out of line, and he admits it, he talks about it, somewhat begrudgingly, but mostly I feel he gets that he was wrong in his approach. And Diamond continues to just be like, I understand why he kept it a secret, and she sympathizes with him and is really a good sport. But she also says that so much negative stuff was said, you know, that was like directed towards her, that she was just like, there's no way we can have a friendship. That's done. Like that, there's no possibility for us to be able to build a friendship after that. And I absolutely understand that as well. Like, I'm just like, girl, there's no way. Like, he really just destroyed any friendship that they could have. And so then after that, you know, shortly after she says that, he has his piece. Like, he talks about his feelings, about what was going on behind the scenes, about, you know, their experience and their time in the pods and stuff. And then he pulls out a box, like a ring, and he like gets up and approaches her, and she's like all freaked out, like, motherfucker, what are you doing? And he gets down on his knee, and then he's just like, oh, you know, I'm not proposing marriage, so don't act all scared. I'm like, yo, how is she supposed to act? This looks crazy. Like, this looks crazy what you're about to do right now after everything that we've just watched and everything that you talked about. How is she not supposed to be like, what are you doing, sir? So he gets down on his knee and he like opens the box, and it's the ring that like she tossed in the pool when they had the big argument. And he's just like, well, I hope that you can like take this back and, you know, consider this a token and hopefully of a friendship that we can, you know, salvage. And she like awkwardly like hugs him, and she puts the ring on, and she's just like, oh, it doesn't really fit anymore, because you can tell visibly that she's put on weight, so she's a little bit puffier, and you know, her fingers are probably a little chunkier. And then like she sits down, and in my mind all I could imagine was like, oh, she probably just went backstage, took off that ring, stepped on it, and like ran the fuck out. Because that's what I would have done. Like, what are you thinking? Like, no, they can't be any fucking friendship. Are you kidding me? Why even do that? And even if you want to be friends, fine, do that shit behind closed doors, talk to somebody on the phone, just not at the finale. Like, I just felt like that was really opportunistic to do that out in the open. And I don't know who knew that it was going to happen beforehand, but Diamond definitely did not expect it. And it was really weird and awkward. And I feel that even though Carlton expressed that he was sorry and that he understood that what he did, or like his attitude was fucked up, I still feel like he kind of put her in a weird spot again. Like, he put her in an awkward position yet again in the finale. And I just, it was disappointing. It was like, so I'm gonna set my face with my NYX matte finishing spray. Yeah, it was really awkward. I would love to see another season of this. It would be interesting to see how it works with another set of people, because I'm just curious about this whole concept, you know, of people who are really looking to settle down with somebody for the rest of their lives. I feel like the men on this show were incredibly responsible. Barnett was the only one who was just like, oh, that fuck boy, that one who we all are just kind of like, watch out for him. And then he surprisingly just did a kind of a turn and kind of grew up as a person. And I was really impressed with that. So I'd love to see what they do for another season. Since the show's been over, like I said, I've been watching a lot of Cameron and Lauren on YouTube. I definitely want a spin-off. I'm so here for it. I'm gonna go ahead and put on this highlighter that I haven't spoken about yet, and I've been wearing it every day. It is the Ofra highlighter, All of the Lights highlighter. I love this highlighter. It literally is all of the lights, and you can go like super highlight, or you can go like a little bit warm. I usually kind of like go through all of these on this side. That's probably way too much. And then just going on the side here. I think that Lauren and Cameron are that couple that gives you a kind of a fantasy. Like, I think it's real, but I think that everything that is in front of the camera is only so real, right? I believe they love each other. I'm happy to hear that Lauren finally gave up her apartment and moved into this man's house, which is now their house. As if ever it was a doubt that he was just like, here, bitch, here's this house. Move in with me. He was just like, please say that you're gonna marry me, bitch. Like, can you just say yes? And I know it must have been hard for her to let that apartment go. I totally get that it was probably hard for her to let that apartment go. That's what she's known most of her life. Totally get it. Totally get it. I don't usually do this after I put on my setting spray, but I am gonna put on a little bit of blush. This is from the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush Quad, the Ghost limited edition set. I did a review on this as well. I'm just gonna dip into like these three. It doesn't really matter. Here we go. Just a little bit on the cheeks. Just a little bit. Okay. So now I'm gonna go off camera and do my eyeliner and mascara, and then come back and just finish out this whole Love is Blind finale reaction video. So yeah, that's basically it for my reaction to the finale of Love is Blind, the weddings, the I do's and the I don'ts. I think that my biggest takeaway, like my biggest shock, was the I don'ts, was just my assumption that people will just get married even though they shouldn't. Maybe when the cameras are on and you've only known this person for about a month, it makes you make better decisions about getting married. I don't know. I really was shocked that three couples didn't make it. I was starting to feel a little bit like, oh shit, like are Lauren and Cameron the only couple that are gonna make it? I took it hard. It was like every I don't was just like, I was shook. I was just shook and devastated and embarrassed and humiliated for the person who got left at the altar. Even if it was absolutely the wrong choice. I am that sappy and romantic. But I think that everyone made the right choice by saying I don't. I think that realistically and practically that they did the right things. And it's really cool that, and I didn't mention this, that Gianna and Damien ended up dating. So like in the finale, you see them sitting together. Even after like he says no and she runs off, Damien's in the camera just like, Giannina, I love you. I always will. I think we can still make it. It's just that, you know, marriage was just gonna be too quick and too hasty for them. So they are currently dating and hooking up. And I just think that that made so much sense. And I feel like that was very and is very authentic. And it's the thing that they didn't get to do, you know, they didn't get to know each other and learn each other. And not everybody is meant for marriage. Not everybody is meant for marriage. And Giannina and Damien are still young, you know? So in a sense, they kind of made it as well. They're just making it in a different way. And I really, really liked that about the show, that it had sort of a range of conclusions that are, you know, still happening. So Mark is free, but still insists that Jessica was his person, and that she's the most beautiful woman, and that all of this stuff he was saying at the finale. And I'm just like, okay, so we're still in the sunken place. I'm glad that Giannina and Damien are dating. I think that's fantastic. And I think that what was supposed to happen happened. And that's pretty amazing for a reality TV show. I don't know if that's what normally happens. I doubt it. I wouldn't know because I don't watch reality TV shows about dating and relationships. But I really like this one. And I would really look forward to a second season. And I really want to see a Lauren and Cameron spinoff. And I really love watching them on YouTube because right now we're in the middle of an insane time with the coronavirus pandemic. I am literally sitting here recording and my husband's telling me, he's a teacher, NYC teacher, that they have shut down all public schools. So what I'm saying without getting deep into that is that we need some lightness in our lives. And for me, watching Lauren and Cameron videos on YouTube, it just makes me happy. You know, it's one of many things that I get from social media and the internet. One of, you know, a few things maybe that make me like really, really genuinely happy for them. So I wish them continued happiness. And again, I definitely would recommend watching Love is Blind, especially right now, if you are self-quarantining, which if you're not, you probably will be in some shape or form, because my God, what a time to be alive. Love is Blind is a great binge watch. If you're into reality TV shows, if you're into social experiments in relationships and, you know, a kind of real world aspect, it's worth it. So that is it for me. I hope that everyone is, you know, taking the proper precautions and staying safe. And also, you know, if you are someone who doesn't have the option to take time off, which is crazy. I think that it's crazy that any working person in this country should be in a working situation where they're not able to take time off if their management or, you know, administration is not, you know, letting people take their time off. Then you got to use your own self-governance and do what you got to do for the safety of yourself and your family and your friends and just for each other. Like, this is the craziest time right now. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We're just living life day to day, trying not to freak out, trying to strike a balance of, like, you know, connecting while staying distant at the same time. And if this gives you a break time from your craziness, I am happy to be someone who, like, can give you just a break, a moment from this insanity. We all need some lightness in our lives. So let's bring some lightness to each other. So until I see you in my next video, stay safe, stay calm, stay connected, but stay distant. And I'll see you soon. Bye.